This is Dabu7. Some underground world news this February 2nd, 2017. Wanted to make mention of this animal die-off that took place in California, Yolo County. They're saying thousands of birds dropping dead out of the sky once again. They're saying that it could be a virus and that it could affect other birds like ducks, geese, and other wildlife flat out, but they're not sure. That's the speculation. They have to wait for test results, and I just wanted to make mention of it. If you guys have any info like this or pertaining to this, let me know, dabu7yahoo.com, and I'll update you guys if I hear of anything else pertaining to that. Switching gears here to Standing Rock. I just put out a video, a lengthy one, in regards to this and what's going on up there in relation to the executive orders that Trump signed and the actions they plan to take up here against that. And what just happened? They come in and they burn down one of their camps. They come in on the ridgeline right across from the entrance to the main camp. They went down this access road right up to this ridgeline, and they took over that camp. There was people arrested. That new forward camp was raided and burned down. Chase Iron Eyes, among many others that was arrested up there at that spot. And as I stated before, when it comes to this situation up here at Standing Rock, I expect this to fully heat up here in the coming weeks and months as they plan to move forward with this pipeline. They're going to meet some opposition up here for sure, and the mainstream media not wanting to report on any of this. So once again, their forward camp up here was raided and burned down, and not a peep of it coming from any of the mainstream media outlets. Now, we also had a massive lockdown that went into place last night in Delaware, where they were locking down all the prisons because the largest prison in Delaware saw a hostage situation where they were taking the guards and holding them captive. Now they're saying at 5:05 a.m. this morning, they finally made their way into this compound where they found a man unresponsive. They pronounced him dead about 25 minutes later. They were able to get a woman out and rescue her too, get her to the hospital where she was being examined. She looks to be okay. But at this point, they would not elaborate on how it happened, who did it, because at this point, they're not sure. They're saying they're vowing that this will never happen again. But it looks like the place is still on lockdown, although they claim they have control. They still are not IDing exactly who they think was behind this incident, or multiple individuals, single individual or whatnot. There was obviously a lot of people involved here with the whole thing going down, but they're saying they're going to look over the surveillance footage and continue the investigation, but at this point, it's over. I wanted to run the update and let folks know that it is over at this point. Now, switching gears here to what happened in California, Berkeley, as riots broke out in the streets here, as Milo, I can't recall if he is either the former or current editor for Breitbart, he has made these speeches in other places, and I want to remind you that in Washington, when he tried to do this, there was a shooting, and the cops now saying that the man that pulled the trigger, they're not naming because he's not being charged. And there seems to be chaos everywhere he goes. So when I take a step back and look at the bigger picture, this is starting to tie in with the plan for chaos in the streets. And I don't believe in coincidences. As these things start to align, it becomes rather obvious what's going on. We've talked about George Soros backing the chaos in this country time and time again. He was behind the big influx of people that were hitting all these different places here recently. The massive crowds, they left their MoveOn.org signs sitting there on the ground, giving them away because they have no respect for where they're at, and they trash the place everywhere they go. And a lot of these movements are made out of deception. I'm going to warn you again. A lot of these groups that say they're anti-this are actually working for that same movement. And what we have here is a band of individuals, some of which that were in D.C. when the chaos went down up there, that are arriving here. And there's different factions. We've talked about the J20, the anti-fascist is what they're calling themselves down here, and others are saying that they're more like the fascist, beating people down. And this isn't protesters against police or the system. This is people on people. Innocent people were just getting pummeled, that were just standing there, pepper sprayed, beat down in the head with sticks, lighting things on fire, busting out windows, causing pure chaos. That there's a separation between a protest and then it crossing the battle line into a riot, into pure chaos. And like I said, in Washington, people getting shot and everything else. When I looked at this, well, let me go back a couple steps. I remember Milo came out right after the whole Pizzagate thing, and he was supposed to give one of his first big speeches. And he had this big book deal on the line. He came out and told everybody right out the gate that he could not talk about Pizzagate because he got a call from Washington. And see, I put a tweet out earlier and someone's like, well, maybe he didn't want to get killed. I'm like, you're that weak? Because someone in defiance would have came out and said, well, so guess what we're going to talk about tonight? Pizzagate. But what'd he do? He didn't say a word about it. And to me, it shows he's controlled. And right after that, he got a huge book deal. So now everywhere Milo goes, there's chaos that follows. Yes, you have a right to protest in this country. Yes, you have a right to free speech in this country. But when something's organized, like organized chaos, you people better pay attention. So we go digging a little further with all the connections of chaos with Soros. And now, all of a sudden, there's chaos everywhere Milo's going. We look at Berkeley, and who do we find connected there? What are the odds? George Soros' son. People, you've got to have the eyes to see. Because if you don't see the enemy and see that you're out there fighting each other, you're falling right into the trap. That's all that's about. And I think a lot of the ones that they've swooped up here, even people that may have views against the beast system, they're too green. They're not realizing who they're working for. They think they're going out there, some of them maybe in their mind thinking they're busting back at the system. But what are you changing? What law did you change? Did you take it to the governor's mansion? No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You never will. It shows how controlled you are. Right there. Right there. The gig's up. The curtain has fallen. There's fakes en masse in the streets being funded by billionaires. They're doing it. And I know everyone keeps asking, why are they not in jail? And it's a big question. Maybe we need to start the petition. Maybe we need to do something to get the attention of this administration that just came into power in the White House. One that said Hillary for prison the whole way, and I'm still waiting for that to happen as well. How can we sit here knowing that George Soros is doing this in other countries and now in this country and not put a stop to it? Because to me, someone that knows what's going on is sitting there watching it happen and they have the power to stop it, they're not doing nothing, they're just as guilty. So you can continue to feed into this madness and the chaos, or you people can get it together. Because it's in my opinion, if you don't stop this, they're going to provoke the beast system to clamp down and strip you of your freedoms. What's it going to start with? A curfew imposed? Then what, martial law? Then what, you're not allowed to gather? No more protesting en masse in these certain places or whatever. They're already crunching you down at these events into these free speech zones. People, you better pay attention. Because by the time some of you actually get up off your tail to take to the streets to protest, you're going to find out that everything you thought you could do, you couldn't. Because some fakes came along and provoked them to clamp down. And that was the plan all along. So you better get a righteous movement together, quick. And I mean a righteous one, that can counter what's happening here in this country and fight every step of the way to expose what's going on. Long as you're righteous, You shouldn't bat an eye. You shouldn't think twice. You should march forward with everything that you've got, exposing this stuff, and never look back. That's how you walk righteous. And be proud that you fight the fight, exposing this evil out here across the globe and right here in this country, because now it is truly frontline time. They're bringing it here full force, and then, as we exposed months ago, they had a plan for the first 100 days of Trump's administration to go after him and to try to cause chaos and do just this. So, that's some of the latest here in regards to all this. I will leave links below. Stay tuned for more. This has been Dabu7 with some underground world news this February 2nd, 2017. And remember, the power is in the people. There is no other equal. And when you come together, there is no way to beat you.